Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Q&A with our new corporate partner, QuantumGames. So I'm really excited to have everyone join us for a quick Q&A from our newest corporate partner, QuantumGames. My name is Chelsea Lowe. I'm the program coordinator for the Corporate Partners Program at Drexel University's College of Computing and Informatics. The quick overview of the Corporate Partners Program. So the Corporate Partners Program connects corporations, startups, and nonprofits to CCI for the development, recruitment, and retention of top tech talent. We do this through fostering connections between students and our partners. These connections are created through different events. So similar to today with Tech Talks, we also do career networking events and guest lectures. So I'm very excited today to welcome AJ from QuantumGames. AJ is the CEO and co-founder of QuantumGames and also a Drexel alum. AJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. And I just want to quickly thank you and the CCI for hosting this and allowing me to tell you and the rest of the individuals a little bit about QuantumGames and what we're doing.
Great. So, well, can you tell us a little bit about your career, your background, and how Drexel really contributed to your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So the brief overview of my background is I do have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and I actually obtained that at Penn State University. And after a couple years working in industry, I actually did my master's work at Drexel University and obtained a civil engineering degree as well as an engineering management degree. Into industry, I worked in civil engineering for a while. It's something that it just didn't pique my interest over time. I knew it wasn't going to be a career path for me, and I had to figure something out of what I wanted to do, especially spending so much money on degrees. So I thought the most natural fit for me was actually sales. It met my personality and just something that I always had an interest in, engaging with people and kind of being out in the world as compared to being tied down in a corporate atmosphere. So I found the easiest way to accomplish this was to get into the real estate industry, just to get my feet wet, get out of corporate, get some sales experience. And after a couple of years in real estate, I actually landed in pharmaceutical sales. And that's where I am right now, up until the point of making QuantumGames the full-time position. But yeah, that's in a nutshell, that is the history of my professional experience. And I guess the second part to that question was my time at Drexel. So I will say, you know, Drexel was great. I had a great experience with the master's program. The civil engineering portion, I'm not using, obviously. It's not something I will be using. But the engineering management was very helpful, especially for what I'm doing right now. And the reason being is because it actually exposed me to money. And what I mean by that is accounting and finance. And when you're in a startup and in a business in general, I mean, you need to know at least the basics, principles of accounting, finance, and so forth. So Drexel did a really good job preparing me for that. I like the fact that even the professors were from industry, so they added not just theoretical, but gave us some insight in terms of what they were doing outside in their field and so forth. But yeah, overall, I mean, the Drexel name, I see it everywhere. I saw it within the locally within the civil engineering field, obviously in in sales as well. So that's pretty much what I can say about my experience at Drexel. It was overall just a very positive experience.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I did want to quickly mention, I know we have some more people joining the chat. If you have any questions, we're going to save a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. So start thinking of your questions and you're going to be able to submit those through the chat feature on here. So we'll have a few minutes for Q&A at the end. So keep thinking of your questions, write them down, hold them until we get through the initial questions that we have. So, AJ, what inspired you to launch QuantumGames?
This is, I'll give you the very, very short version. There's a long story behind it. But the short version is I've always had an entrepreneurial drive ever since I was a kid. Unfortunately, in my life, I never had a mentor or anyone to really guide me and help me out, kind of determine how to investigate ideas and bring them to fruition. It wasn't until within the last couple of years, I actually had an opportunity to restart a company. It was called DSDJ, and it was a proposal business through government contracts. And through circumstances, a little bit on my own, but other circumstances aside, we had to discontinue that idea. And I went about my corporate lifestyle again. And it wasn't until about, I would say, 2 years ago, where I actually met an individual, Gerald Randall, who is, he's also my mentor, but he's also my advisor on project. And Gerald has a lot of experience with startups. He's a founder of a project. He's an advisor on other projects. And it was kind of one of those right time, right place where we met up, we started discussing. And the original idea that I had really wasn't quantum games. It was, we'll just call it a separate idea. And after kind of flushing that idea out, quantum games was always kind of a portion of that main idea. But again, at the end of the day, after we analyzed everything over time, we found out that this was kind of like the path of least resistance, and it was a very viable idea and a very thriving market. So we took that idea and ran with it, and here we are.
So can you give us a quick elevator pitch of QuantumGames? And for those who aren't familiar, what is esports?
Sure. So I guess to start off on that, what our goal is we are trying to define the esports industry. So for professional esports, college and high school esport participants, and gaming content providers who basically need to close the gap between viewership and revenue as compared to more traditional sports. Quantum Games is it's basically an online gaming platform and a live event provider that we are basically looking to add more liquidity in the gaming community. So unlike your other companies such as Twitch, YouTube Games, Facebook Games, and Mixer, we're basically engaging and partnering with colleges and high schools to build varsity teams while helping the Esports Foundation on campus. We're also trying to provide more content earning potential on our online platform and produce live event tournaments. So in a nutshell, I know that's a lot of information there, but in a nutshell, that's what we do. And Q&A, I'll expand on each point. But I think you did say, Chelsea, too, you'd like to know what esports is. It's kind of a general term. Esports has, back in the day, you gamed with your friends. You really didn't have an avenue to break out besides, the basement of your home or so forth, where you have 4 people either playing a first-person shooter game or, Madden football or whatever game you're playing. Due to technology, due to the interest in gaming and so forth, now you have live event tournaments where you have professional teams. You have some colleges just have club teams. Others are now producing varsity teams. Same thing's going on in high schools. So it's something that's really ramping up, but it's basically your old school video game playing to a new generation.
And are you a gamer? I guess what was the passion, or what's your passion behind this?
Yeah, so nowadays I'm not so much a gamer. I was back in the high school and college days, and The very first console that I had, my dad actually bought me the very first Atari for Christmas. We're going way, way back. um, but I've had consoles all throughout. The first Nintendo, going up through the generations of that, going into PlayStation and the generations through that. And I'll tell you, in high school, I can't tell you how many countless hours that we've spent in parents, whether it's the living room or the basement or so forth, or bedrooms, four people battling it out on, again, whether it's a first-person shooter game like Bond GoldenEye, or whether we were doing Madden football or FIFA soccer. And pretty competitive. That a couple fights broke out over over our video game playing. In college, it ramped up more, and whether it be in dorms or in a rented house, you start seeing the crowds grow a little more, and it was kind of exciting to see. It became, back in the early stage, just a couple people playing on one console in front of a TV. In terms of now college, you have a ton of people just coming around watching, again, whether it's Mortal Kombat or your sports game. And it's just pretty cool to see how it grew, how technology is really playing a role, and where it's actually going.
Great. And tell us more about the development process for QuantumGames. So how are you building out this platform, all that you've mentioned it can operate?
Right. So what I can tell you, I'll give you, it's going to sound general, but it's pretty much the process that you want to go through to be a company getting to launch. As I said earlier, we came up with an idea, and after you have your idea, you need to flush that idea out and make sure that it's a viable idea. You bring it to concept, and once you have the conceptual idea formed, now you start going into your market analysis. You need to dig into your competitors. You need to really start scrubbing for data and statistics. And all this information is just going to support your idea in terms of, is there a marketplace for that idea? Is it going to survive? Is that market growing? Is it dying? How many competitors are out there? Can you fit in there? So again, I don't want to sound too general, but we've gone through this entire process. We're beyond this. We've positioned ourselves to where we believe we could be launching in April of next year. And yeah, that's pretty much the process. Nice. In a nutshell. Again, I mean, there's little things in between, but that's the major steps that we took.
Great. So for students who are interested in this field, what, especially computer science students or other disciplines that we have at Drexel's College of Computing and Informatics, what skills should they be building out to make a name for themselves or to gain experience that is relevant for esports?
Good question. And when I originally heard this question, so I guess there's two ways to look at it. Is it from an aspect of someone looking to build a career within a company in esports, or actually becoming an esports professional? For people that are looking to get into an esports company, in terms of a typical company, whether it be a sales role, marketing role, executive level, and so forth, there's a lot of growth going on right now. There's a lot of companies out there hiring. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity, and the projections for the next 5 years look extremely promising. In terms of, if you want to go the other route, if they're a gamer and they want to become an esports professional, I think the question is, what advice would I give? Was that correct, Chelsea?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a totally different question, totally different answer. For people that are looking to become a professional esports player, it's extremely difficult. Think of how you would get into a career of becoming a professional traditional sports player, whether it be NFL, NBA, soccer, so forth. Your chances as you go up through high school to college to the professional level start decreasing as the competition increases. In this case, there's probably even a finer line in terms of getting in, and your average time within there isn't as long as it is in traditional sports. This could, as we ramp up and the industry grows and so forth, this could very much all change. But at this point in time, my advice to people would be just make sure you have a backup plan. Don't quit college to go into esports. I would definitely get your degree and have a plan mapped out. And if you want to go give it a go, definitely do it.
Are there any technical skills or specific languages that you've seen that are needed in the development of your platform or the industry in general?
Technical skills, yeah. So I mean, again, it's basically a general company in a sense. I mean, you have your executives, you have a sales department, you have a marketing department. There are specific other areas where it is specialized toward the gaming community. But I would say overall, I mean, there's opportunity for multiple fields to enter. And in terms of the technical side, yeah, I mean, coding is an important skill. You know, a lot of these gamers, whether it be a gaming company, gaming video content company, and so forth, you know, they do look for individuals that are software developers and so forth.
And you've mentioned throughout our conversation, but can you talk or expand on the differences or the new opportunities that there are in esports in comparison to traditional sports?
New opportunities. That's a tough question. The best way to answer that question is the industry is still being formed right now. It's very much in its infantile state, and you see a lot of stuff going on in a lot of different places. I mean, you have something that we're doing is, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about defining the esports industry, is we're trying to bring the gaming video content side of it, which again would be like your Twitches and your YouTube games, and your event side, and bring them together so there's some uniformity, there's some flow and some sense of community. That's basically what we're building out. And again, could you mention your question again, Chelsea? Because I'm not sure whether I directly answered your question or not.
Yeah, just so new opportunities in comparison to more traditional sports. Are there any other new opportunities in esports?
I wouldn't say, I mean, there's so much new opportunities. I mean, it does parallel what, you know, traditional sports does. Whether you get into it as the professional side or whether you're getting into the company side, I mean, again, the company structure, there's 100 different roles that a sports company has that an esports company would mirror.
Great.
So again, I hope I'm answering your question.
Oh, no, you're definitely answering it. It seems like all the opportunities are open because you're saying this is such a new and we're very early stage in esports.
Correct.
It sounds like, yeah, the opportunities are endless. We do have one more question before I get to the questions in the chat. I just want to know about your growth plans. So I know this is something you're building out. You mentioned next year for launch, but can you kind of walk us through what are your plans for growth?
Sure. So what I can tell you for right now is we do have a lot of things sitting on our whiteboard. There are a lot of new, fresh ideas, a lot of add-ons, a lot of technology that we plan on incorporating. We're going to ramp up our events over time, and we're also going to be adding on a lot of really cool partnerships. unfortunately, at this time, I can't get into a lot of detail for obvious reasons. You know, we still are in the very early stages. I don't want to give away our secret sauce in a way. But yeah, we have a lot of things that we've really been thinking through. We have them already mapped out. And I think people will find, you know, it's not just going to be us copying pretty much a specific platform and just tossing it out there, hoping to gain, you know, a small portion of the market share. We really want to kind of be an industry leader and really add to this community.
Great. So first question is, do you foresee shifts in the esports marketing projections in light of the current situation with COVID-19?
It's a very good question. And surprisingly, I have been keeping up with a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, and checking out what people are posting globally. And surprisingly, the esports market has been up significantly. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with traditional sports not being able to be played and shown. You know, a lot of esports can be done online. In terms of the live event portion, you know, I think people really do still like to get out and experience it live. But again, with the technology that's even out there right now, things don't have to be shut down. You can just hop on your computer with 5G ramping up. You know, you're going to be able to see stuff on your cell phone streaming pretty much seamlessly with like maybe a microsecond lag. Yeah, so in general, no, there really hasn't been a downturn in esports. It's just the opposite has happened.
And then what, next question, what do you feel are the main applications for blockchain to gaming?
Tread lightly here. That is an excellent question. And yes, it's on our plate. I will say that.
You can't give us a...
I will say, again, I'm trying to parse my words here with trying to give you as much information as I can. You know, between myself and my advisor, we are deeply embedded in cryptocurrency and the blockchain environment. And for most projects out there, due to circumstances not of the founders really doing, it's more of regulation and more just in terms of where adoption is at this point, in terms of usage. You know, I personally don't think that there is a opportunity for a true decentralized, even though there are some decentralized platforms out there right now. But I think probably within the next couple of years, you will definitely see it. It will be out there.
Okay, we'll stay tuned. What is it about the evolution and growth of esports that really makes you excited about being a part of this industry?
Well, going back to what I said earlier, we have an opportunity as a company to help define the entire industry since it's so new. And we look at it as we don't want to define it particularly from our end. We're more of a vessel to help that growth and definition. And we're actually, we engage a lot of gamers, you know, the college students, the high school students, to stay in the know and to basically get feedback in terms of, you know, what is really wanted out there as compared to what we come up with and we are just feeding out to the community.
The other question, and I think I'm understanding this correctly, is if they would join, so what technology would they need if they wanted to join esports? I think that's what I'm interpreting for the question. Please correct me if that's your question, if I haven't worded it properly, but just like technology to join, I guess as a player, what technology do they need?
So from a from a viewer aspect, you need nothing besides a computer, smartphone, tablet, whatever. Um, Maybe I'll break it down because I think I'm understanding the question correctly. From a content provider aspect, you need a little bit more equipment than that. You need a microphone, headset, you need your video gaming equipment, you need a certain type of speed to stream from, and obviously the place to stream from. In terms of if you want to be a professional gamer, from an esports aspect, I guess it's pretty much as simple as either seeking out the individuals for teams or forming your own teams.
And I had a quick question around what are the top games in the industry?
So Fortnite is still the top game. I guess it depends upon what people are interested in playing, because a lot of times each player has their own niche in a sense. League of Legends, you have a lot of sports games out there, as I mentioned earlier, NBA basketball, FIFA soccer. Fortnite is still probably up there as number one. I don't know how much the individual wants me to get into.
Oh, no, that was just the question I had. I was just curious to know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
and then, there's a wide range, but yeah.
And then we have time for one more question if anyone has any more questions before we wrap up. Give people another second. But AJ, thank you so much for giving your time to us. It was great to learn more about quantum and really excited to see what you all do moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I just want to thank you, Chelsea, as well as the CCI program in general for hosting this, allowing us to come on here and engage the community a little bit. And, we will definitely be continuing to gauge the community and so forth. We're not too far from Drexel campus, so we're local. And if anyone has any questions, I'm sure you can give out. The best way to get in contact with us is by email for right now. We will have our social media outlets up at a very soon future date.
Okay, and I'll share your email, the best email to contact with you. I'll send an email to all of our participants today so they have that, so they don't have to worry about jotting that down now. But I did want to share very quickly before we go a little bit of information about our next event that we have from the Corporate Partners Program. So that's going to be next week. So next week we have one of our other corporate partners, Vanguard. They're going to be doing a webinar on mastering the virtual interview. So they'll have tips that they're going to share. It's going to be Thursday, Thursday, April 30th from noon to 12:30 p.m. And I just want to thank you all for joining us today and sharing some time. And again, want to thank our presenter, AJ from QuantumGames. So thank you all and have a good day.
Take care. Thanks a lot, Chelsea.
Bye.